Good evening, everyone. I'm Aparna Narayanan, Marketing Head at Umbrella Infocare. I'm very happy to extend a warm welcome to the thought leaders and innovators who have joined us today for the Zero Trust, Zero Compromise Citrix webinar. We are all increasingly aware of how important it is to strengthen our security posture and to mitigate risk. Today, we will get all other important aspects. I also request you to keep your screen on full screen mode, to keep yourself unmuted during the course of the session. Of course, if you have a question for the speaker, you can unmute yourself. Moving forward, I would like to introduce our speakers of the day. We have Sandeep Warke, Manager Pre-Sales, India North, East and West for Bangladesh and the Indian subcontinent at Citrix. He's a tech geek and has great business judgment. He has about 16 plus experience in multiple IT domains, which I will read out now across several domains such as DC security, DC architect, end user compute consulting, technical sales, and pre-sales. He has worked closely with companies of various sizes, from SMBs to large enterprises across multiple industries in the APJ region, and has helped them to modernize their EUC domain. We also have Vaibhav Kakkar from Umbrella Infocare. He's our senior business development manager and has wide experience in Citrix sales across India. He also has deep expertise in putting together customer-focused solutions in Citrix services. We will begin the session with an introduction from Umbrella Infocare, and we will move on to a detailed presentation from Citrix on the topic of the day, which will end in a Q&A session. At the end of the session, we will have a fun and interesting mocktail making activity. I do hope all of you have received your kits by now. I now invite Vaibhav Kakkar to share his thoughts about Umbrella Infocare solutions. Thanks for joining us today, and I hope you enjoy your session.
Thank you, Aparna, for the introduction. Good evening, all. Myself, Vaibhav Kakkar. I am managing Citrix business for Umbrella Infocare and North Asia Territory. Thank you all for taking out time and joining us in this event. I'll be covering about Umbrella Infocare in just 3 to 4 slides and will not take much of your time. Umbrella Infocare has started its operation 8 years back with the aim of helping customers in their digital transformation journey. 8 years ago, we have 2 alliances, that is Citrix and AWS, focusing on workplace mobility and the cloud adoption. After 8 years, Citrix and AWS continues to be our only 2 alliances, demonstrating our focused approach with these 2 alliances. For Citrix, we are Platinum Plus partner and putting us in the elite category of 2 to 3 partners in entire India. For AWS, we are premium consulting partner and have multiple competencies on managed services migration, which put us to the top amongst top 5 to 6 partners in Asia Pacific. We have done 350 plus cloud projects and about 150 plus Citrix deployments. We have 200 plus people who manages our operations from Delhi and Mumbai offices. Moving forward, we talk about umbrella advantages. So we are extremely customer-centric organization. This demonstrated by having a very long association with our customers. We are technology-driven organization. We have been adding new services as a customer requirement changes, and our partner like Citrix comes with new technology and solutions. 100% of our team is Citrix certified. Any new member who joins in our organization has given us 3 months time to complete their Citrix certification. Moving forward, we see the breadth of Citrix solution, that is workspace, VDI, application delivery, SD-WAN, content collaboration. This will be further explained by Mr. Sandeep Parke in the subsequent slides. Next, Umbrella Infocare provides, next we have the next slide. Umbrella Infocare provides end-to-end solution to their customers, right from assessment, design, deployment, and managed support services and continuous change management. The last slide covers from my side is these are some of the large enterprise customers, and being an Indian audience, you must be aware of these logos. So we have long association with these customers and provide support across Citrix technologies. We have deployed multiple solutions in these customer base, and few of them are using entire Citrix technologies like Amarchand Mangaldas and PI Industries. As we have grown over the years, our association with them has also grown. Some of them have started with us with 100 users, and now they have 1,000 plus or 2,000 plus users using Citrix solutions. Thank you all. That's all from my side. Handing over to Mr. Sandeep Parke, who will walk you through Zero Trust Security presentation.
Hey, good evening all. Yeah, so I'll quickly start with what is Zero Trust all about. And the first thing I would like to clear is the conception. Zero Trust is not about network only, right? It is about multiple things. It is about user. It is about the devices that they are using. It is about the location from where they are trying to access. And it's also about the applications that they're trying to use. The reason I want to bring up this first is because we want to make sure that we don't get siloed into the conversations which are only network centric. Primarily, the technology started with a network-based approach, but then it has eventually graduated to a lot many aspects of it, and Citrix is going to cover all of those aspects for you. So, with the background of conception, right? What are the right questions that one should be asking when someone is looking at Zero Trust? I'm very sure all of us would have heard, read, all our LinkedIn feeds are with Zero Trust messaging. So what are the questions that we should ask ourselves as an organization? Do I need Zero Trust? And what is that I need in Zero Trust? So the questions are very simple, right? Network, for example, where is my traditional boundary, right? In traditional terms, we had a DMZ, we had a militarized zone, MZ, and then we had DC LAN. So where is my traditional network boundary? Next thing we should ask ourselves is, how do I sanitize the traffic crossing over the boundary? Which means that today we have a lot of crisscross traffic. Earlier, our traffic was primarily from the office to the application servers, and that too, major retreat of traffic was trusted traffic. But now with the proliferation of internet, we have a lot of internet traffic which is coming in offices. And as all of us know, right, from past one and a half year, we have been doing remote work, and which means that our internet traffic has become very crucial. So that is where the boundary is starting to disappear. But has it really disappeared for all of us? Answer is yes, no, maybe 50% of people, yes, it is. But the idea is, how do I sanitize? That is the most important aspect of it. Some of the vendors, OEMs, like to call it as network access control as well, but then that's multiple terms to it. The idea is, how do I look into the traffic? How do I treat that traffic? In terms of devices, it could be organization specific, but the idea to bring out is what devices to allow. So as an organization, right, we need to think about what devices are good for my user. There are a lot of breeds of devices. There are Apple devices like iOS, iPad, Mac OSs. There are Google devices like Chromebooks, Android, and then the whole Windows ecosystem, which is Windows 10, Windows 11, and these are from the endpoint side. I'm not talking about the devices which are used by the users. Those are devices I'm talking about as of now. And we all know, right? We at least have two devices, one handheld and one a primary device and secondary device. Secondary being a handheld device like mobile phones. So what devices do we allow? how to differentiate between known and unknown devices. Very, very crucial, because the traditional boundary has been invisible for a while now. So traditionally, we thought about people walking into the office, and then the devices had a barcode, and a physical security would scan the barcode and they would know things around it. People would know each other's face. Imagine the devices that we are looking on the internet are all the same from a very myopic lens, right? They all are the same. They all are a device, right? How do we know this is a device which I had given to the end user and he is using it, and not using some other device randomly selected by him? So differentiate between known and unknown devices is absolutely crucial. So what is a managed device now? When I say known unknown devices, what is a managed devices? And I don't want to go deep over here, but the idea is very simple. A managed device is a device which is controlled by your organization. And when I say control, the admin access is controlled by your organization. How I want to manage these new age devices? Now, with the management part comes the next question is, how do I manage these devices? How do I manage iOS, Android? And do I really need to manage? That's the first question we need to ask ourselves, right? Let us look at a few more parameters in next slide. Let's look at the parameter around users, right? So how are the users going to authenticate? That is one more important aspect of it. So do we need dynamic authentication? Do we need dynamic authorization? Again, I'm very clearly differentiating between authentication and authorization, because now it is the user who is moving from one place to another with the device, right? So we need to be very sure, very careful, and most importantly, we have to be 100% as sure as possible, right? As sure as possible that this is the user, which is my user, genuine user, because on the internet, everything is ones and zero, right? Everything is bits and bytes. Then look at the application that they're trying to access. And with all the application happening, with all the things happening around the application, the landscape is changing dramatically. We all know this. Legacy applications are there for a while now, but we have also put our feet into the co-location places, into the SaaS kind of applications. So applications are just moving across, and not just from application perspective, right? The workloads are moving across data centers as well. So how do we make sure that my application are securely accessed across all the network and all the devices, right? We don't want to make sure that we leave out certain aspects of it, or we are not there with certain devices aspect of it. Again, the idea is not here to bring out all of those things with you. It is a very customer specific strategy. What devices, what network, which users, how authentication, how authorization, and all of those things are bundled together. The idea is you should be asking these questions to yourself, and this will guide you in the right way. Now let's look at the next slide, where we look at the first step, which is user, who is the most crucial part of all of this discussion, which means that today anything that happens around is around user. And how Citrix helps solve this problem is we can help you do multiple authentication and multiple times authentication, which typically is called as multi-factor authentication. So what I mean is very simple. If today I am logging in, then I would have a username password as authentication. At the same time, if someone else, right, let's say Chetna is trying to log in, then she would have a username, password, and TOTP. Now that is what is dynamic authentication based upon the user. We take it even one level further, and we do it with the same user with the context as well. And now we all have heard about contextual authentication. What it simply means is, with Citrix, you can say that if Sandeep is trying to access from office, from a known device, then just username and password, bang, is allowed access. At the same time, if Sandeep is trying to access from the internet, like he's working from home or a coffee shop, then he should be asked for multi-factor authentication. And that also goes with the context of a user, of a device, of a network. That's how good we are, right? And I can see that a lot of methods we have put over here, which means that with Citrix, you can be assured that no matter what your authentication mechanism is, we would be able to bring the authentication mechanism and use it for the benefit of the user authentication, which means that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You're not locked in, right? Let's look at the next aspect of it, where we look at the devices. Now, we talked about users. Let's talk about the devices. So I think let's go to the next slide. Yeah. So now the next thing we talked about was which devices, what devices, and that is where I think we have a very, very, very strong portfolio. Now we can do something called as device posture check and device security check. Now they are two very different things, and you should be mindful of both the aspects. Do you want to pick one over the other, or do you want to go with one aspect of it, is a absolutely call that you have to take. But as a Citrix, we can assure you that we can do device posture, we can do device security checks. Why are they relevant? Is because today you are looking at unknown devices. Now, when you look at unknown devices, what is your mantra of unknown device? Now, that is where we can scan the endpoints for file, processes, registries, which means that we can scan anything, right? We are not restricting you to IP address, to MAC addresses, to serial numbers, which eventually can be forged, right? But now you can have your custom strings. You can define a string for your own organization. You can make it as complex as possible, and we would be able to scan that on the endpoints and make sure that this is what you are what you have complying for. And not just one parameter. You can put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, n number of parameters, right? Makes it extremely easy for the user to authenticate his device, right? So it is a device level authentication. And not just that, we can also make sure that the user is coming from a device which is sanitized. Now, why is that important? Is because today you may have situation where you are giving users the devices, and you want to ensure that those are devices which are getting used. But you also want to ensure that those devices are the same devices that are satisfying the particular security criteria. For example, if there's antivirus, is the antivirus running? Is the antivirus updated, right? Because the devices are now on the internet. You are not controlling the update part of it. So how do you make sure that when the people are going to access your resources, your application, your data, the security principles are up and tight? That is how we make sure that the security is checked, and only after that the access is given. Let's quickly look at certain more type of devices. And the first thing that comes to my mind is unmanaged devices, right? On the next slide, we look at how are we securing the unmanaged devices. Now, this is very interesting. We have all known this in a very, very different way, right? So Citrix has known for VDI for a long time. And why am I coming to this point is because unmanaged devices, data footprint is absolutely essential. What we do is we bring the data and application to the data centers, we centralize them. Obviously, everyone knows this. With centralization, you have lots and lots of benefit. For example, on the endpoint side, you eliminate the need of backup, management, patching, update, compliance. Imagine 0-day vulnerabilities. You're trying to fix a 0-day vulnerability on an unmanaged device. It could be a nightmare, right? So you need to have a good way out. And in all of our 35 years of existence, and in all of my 11 plus years of end user transformations, none of the security company, none of the security folk has been able to pinpoint that this is something which is messing with this technology on an unmanaged device. On unmanaged device, hands down, VDI, virtualization, application virtualization is the most right way of doing things. Now, I would like to bring up one point over here is unmanaged devices, zero data footprint is what you're going to achieve. Whether it is temporary data, whether it is transient data, whether it is a CSS file, nothing goes to the endpoint. And that's why you eliminate all the need of the security principles. Obviously, Citrix has gone beyond with lot many features, which if time permits, we will talk about it. But yes, the primary thing is if you're looking at the unmanaged devices, and if you're looking at the most tight form of security, this is the way out. It is obviously VPN-less, and it is the virtualization that we are pride in doing it, right? And let's look at how are we securing it. So on the next slide, this is the flow that you see, right? And I don't want to go in the depth of this, and this may sound like a very technical slide, but the idea I'm trying to bring up over here is why are we so confident? Why Citrix is so confident is because it is entirely end-to-end TLS encrypted, which means that not just from the end user to the your firewall or to the gateways, beyond that within your data center, every communication is TLS encrypted, and that is where our faith lies. So it is end-to-end TLS encrypted. There are additional level of controls. For example, on the next slide, we look at a small demonstration. It's a small video. I will urge a little bit patience over here It's a 1-minute video, but we'll try to skip through this. So in this video, what you're going to see is this gentleman is trying to type in a username, password, and a second factor authentication. Now, if you notice the black screen below, and I know the screen is too small, but if you can zoom your maximize your Zoom meetings, and I will do that for you as well. So if you look at it, whatever is trying to type is garbage. Now, this is the most beautiful thing. When I'm saying unmanaged devices, the keystrokes, right? The keystrokes are also secured by Citrix. And you don't have to do anything fancy over here. The Citrix receiver that you have known for all this while is going to do the same thing for you. Now, this is not only about the first screen. This is even before the user is trying to log in. Imagine the type of controls that we have put into our solutions. We don't even know who this user is. We are just saying that anyone who types into my Citrix receiver or the workspace app that we know of is 100% secured. Those credentials cannot be compromised. Let him launch a desktop, and I will show you one small nice thing, that how does this helps you in your unmanaged device case. Because now in your unmanaged device case, you would be using a lot of applications, sensitive applications. They would have customer data, they would have user data. And over here, a small example of a notepad. And again, the data is all encrypted. So the black screen, the bottom of the black screen that you see is actually a keylogger that is sitting on the endpoint. And whatever the keylogs that is trying to capture are garbage, right? So you don't see anything tangible information over there. So, so that is the power that we're trying to bring in. So this is what we call as anti-keylogger and anti-screen capture. I'll give you a small new video on the next slide about the screen capture as well. So we take it even further. And now when you're accessing VDIs, when you're accessing virtualizations through Citrix on unmanaged devices, on the left-hand side, you will see everything as black. That is because we are protecting the screens from getting captured. Now, whether it is capturing by print screens, sniping tools, Camtasia, whatever tools they are, or whether they are even sharing over platforms like Zoom or Google or Teams, everything is disabled with us, right? So that is the power we're trying to bring into the unmanaged devices. Now, I'll quickly summarize this part on this particular slide is, you don't have to worry about the device. There is no data on the device. It can, and obviously everyone knows this, Citrix works on all the platforms from the end user perspective, whether they are Chromebooks, Raspberry Pi devices, thin clients. We have been known for all these ages. Top of it, now we are securing your keystrokes and we are securing your screens as well. So that is one beautiful thing I think we have captured really, really very well over here. So let's go to the next slide in the interest of time and look at the more controls that we have. And one of the control is watermarking. Again, everything that we display is watermark. Now, I'm very much sure pretty much of you are saying that, this is something which is already there with Citrix. Why are we talking about it? But I have to make sure that when you're looking at unmanaged devices, you have to look at security in very, very different way. How are you going to ensure that people who are out in the field, your field staff, right, does not has a Trojan who's capturing the screens, right, knowingly, unknowingly, whichever way, right? So we prevent that. On the next screen, we would see something about session recording, and that is something which is really, really very interesting. Whatever is happening on the Citrix session, we are recording them entirely, and not just video recording. We are also giving you tangible, searchable inputs, right? Inputs like which applications, which USB devices, which files they modified, which was the topmost window, what all web-based activities they did when they launched Citrix, right? What are the clipboard activities? What is the upload, download they did from the user session to the endpoint? So there are a lot of controls that we have brought in. Now, enough of about unmanaged devices, right? Let's go to the next section where we look at managed devices. So just to summarize over here, unmanaged devices, zero data footprint, and we are right over there with right sets of tools. And if you ask me on a very, very comfort level, VDI or virtualization is the way to go forward because it is zero data footprint. If you are okay to have a way between them, and we look at different solutions. The first thing that comes to our mind is managing the unmanaged. How about managing the unmanaged? So Citrix does that for you, and we do that over the internet. Right? You don't have to have direct connections to the endpoints. And we're talking about 1 or 2 devices. We're talking about iOS, Android, Windows 10, 11, Chrome OS. Windows 11 is in tech preview as of now, but it's right available with us. Mac OSs, iPad OSs. So we do manage the devices which are unmanaged. So now, when we say managing the unmanaged, what do we mean? We mean we are going to push policies, we are going to push controls, we are going to push patches on those devices and make sure that they are compliant with your organization policies. On the next slide, let's look at a different approach of securing the data. Now, this is very interesting. When you are managing your devices, the next thing that you need is application, right? Now you have taken care of the device posturing, and maybe you don't want to worry about the device posturing, which means you don't want to manage the devices. You want to still deal with the unmanaged devices. What Citrix has done is your number one application is signed, delivered by Citrix, which is Citrix browser. It is a browser, right? Our 70-80% applications are browser based. What Citrix has done is we are packing that browser into our workspace app itself. The browser is a regular Chromium browser, which means that it is bound to work with all of your applications, right? The browser is going to run on the endpoints, which means it is not going to consume anything in data centers, right? Typically, you would say that something we can do this with your virtual apps as well, but that will require you to put a lot of hardware, right? Windows ecosystem, and maybe Linux as well. But all of those things are eliminated. Now we are saying that if you have a laptop which is already there, we give you the browser. Now, why a browser? First point is it makes 70-80% of your usage. Second point is browser is the most vulnerable thing in the entire ecosystem. People think of browser very loosely, and we have a lot of our friends trying, you can use any browser. But the point is, what if you have a malicious browser? There are so many browsers out there in the wild. Now, what confidence that we have, what confidence that Citrix has is even on an unmanaged device, where the browser is compromised, where there is a plugin which is compromised, and you are doing L7 encryption, your HTTPS websites are L7 encrypted, right? How are you going to secure them in such a situation? In our case, we are going to use our own browser, which means that you are 100% sure that the browser stack right from the layer 7 is 100% secure, even if it's a unmanaged device. So I'll not go into details of it, but the key things over here to note is we control a lot of behavior. We control navigation, we control upload, download, we control clipboard, we control printing, and as we always know, right? Watermarking, anti-keyloggers, and anti-spin captures are a part of this behavior as well. So imagine unmanaged machine. You have a browser which is signed, delivered by Citrix. You don't consume anything in data centers, and on top of it, on that unmanaged device, I'm giving you restrictions of navigation, uploading, downloading, watermarking, anti-keyloggers, anti-spin captures, which means that your applications are really, really safe on those unmanaged devices. The next thing that we do is very, very interesting, right? The next thing that we do is the network, right? We talked about users, we talked about devices. In the devices, we talked about all the types of devices, right? Whether they are managed, unmanaged. In case of network, and on the next slide, we will see is how are we going to secure the network? Now, why it is required? Because network access is extremely important in today's world. Second part is the network is really, really fluid, right? For a moment, users are inside the network, inside your office, and they're accessing your office LAN. The next moment, they are using the same office LAN and trying to access internet. And maybe the third moment, they are outside the office on their mobile phones and trying to access multiple things, right? So how does Citrix helps you over here? So we have got a couple of functionalities which are delivered as a service. When I say as a service, there is no bottleneck of backhauling, right? You don't have to bring the traffic all to your data centers. Our service plane is very fluidly available across the breadth of India. In fact, there are multiple touch points that we have, which means user experience is top notch. There are a lot many security things that we have built into this product. But the key things that I want to highlight is on any of those devices, on any of those laptops, and on any of those mobile devices, right? And even on the VDS that you're running in your data centers, if anyone is accessing something over the network, right, we can scan that traffic for lot many things. First thing is firewalling, which means that from that iOS device, from that Android devices, we are able to do firewall capabilities. No ping pong, no ICMP, no particular IP address. We go one step further and we do SWG, which means that you can say that from that iOS device or Android device or a laptop, when someone is accessing something, stop all the categories which are related to entertainment, right? Or news or whichever, gambling, right? Makes your life easier, right? But we go even further and we say CASB, which means that you may say that, okay, I need to access Office 365. So block all the cloud storages, but allow OneDrive, right? But CASB takes it even one step further. You can say that block all the cloud storages, only allow OneDrive, but do not allow people to download data, right? Now that is interesting because that stops your data leakages. I can take it even further, right? You can say stop all the social media, right? Firewalling, SWG will do that. Stop all the social media, but allow LinkedIn, right? But when you allow LinkedIn, don't allow people to post anything, right? Or don't allow people to search for the jobs, right? So those things you can start controlling, and you can do this at individual level. We take it even further because the traffic is now going over the internet. We don't know whether traffic is good traffic or bad traffic. And traditionally, what we have been accustomed to think is let the traffic come on the endpoint and let me scan that traffic. Why? Why? If you want to keep that traffic miles away from that laptop, wouldn't be good. And that's what we do. Our malware protection, which covers virus scanning, worms, spyware, trojans, right? We scan the traffic in our service plane itself, and we are confident the traffic is good. We send it to you, which means that now the threat is scanned, detected miles away from the endpoint, right? Imagine there is a ransomware which is trying to infiltrate. A traditional security situation would say that let the ransomware come down to one laptop, and then that laptop's agent, hopefully if it is updated, will detect it. And hopefully if there is no lateral movement possible, then you are protected. But in case of Citrix, two things are different. Our service plane is always updated. We have got 10 plus threat intelligences across the globe, which means that our probability of detecting the ransomware is way too high. In a traditional case, you're depending upon the one single agent, right? Or one single OEM, and also depending upon whether the agent is updated or not on the endpoint. But in our case, that's not happening. It's always going to stay updated. It's always going to it's always going to stay evergreen. Second thing is, we're not even saying that the ransomware has to come to you. We are saying that even before it comes to your laptop, it is getting scanned in the cloud, which means that there is zero risk of lateral movement, right? Zero risk of lateral movement. We all know how they behave. The next thing that we do is the DLP, which is data loss prevention, which means anything which can be regular expression, right? Your employee numbers, your phone numbers, your Aadhaar card numbers, your PAN card numbers, anything which can be regular expression can be, right? Can be converted into a DLP pattern, and we can find those patterns. Now, I'm not limiting myself to Aadhaar card or PAN cards or things like that, but you can imagine, sorry, I'm just trying to get a little bit comfortable. Yeah. So it can be anything, right? I'll just go off video for a minute. Thank you. The last thing that we do is sandboxing, which means that today the traffic, if it is not good, right, then we can run that traffic into a sandbox environment, and your endpoints are even more secure, which means that if we believe a particular traffic is not a good traffic, not a healthy traffic, instead of blocking it, right, if our confidence level is not to block it, then we will run that into a sandbox environment. On the next slide, let's look at some more interesting part of it. Now, we looked at all the ways of controlling this on the end user side, right? Let's look at the way of controlling at the application side. Now, we do play a very pivotal role at the application side as well, which means that today, just like your users are out into the internet and using the devices, and you're trying to secure those devices, your applications are also exposed to the internet. right? They are also exposed to the internet, and they are also being accessed by multiple people. How do you define good traffic versus bad traffic? How do you make sure applications are available? And that's where we have got a huge portfolio, which is web application firewall, bot management, API protection, microservices app security, TLS management. The best thing is we are entering into a very, very different arena. Today we are looking at, boxes kind of thing, right? 1 Gbps box, 10 Gbps box, 15 Gbps box. Citrix has done with that. We have made our licensing very efficient, and we have got into a mechanism called as pooled mechanism, which means that today, whatever the traffic you are looking at, right? You are looking at 1 Gbps traffic for one particular application, but tomorrow that traffic may change to 2 Gbps. Now what do? You go and buy a different box? No, with Citrix it becomes all simple. We have entirely virtual way of delivering these things, and you can quickly ramp up from 1 GB to 2 GB. You can easily move from one place to another place, right? Since we are virtual entirely, you can move from one data center to another data center. You can move from one application to another application. Imagine one of your application load is going higher, right? 2 GB, 3 GB, 4 GB. You keep on adding load over there, and at certain part of the year, the traffic goes low, right? It goes to 1 GB. Now, how do you manage this traffic? With Citrix, we are giving you traffic as a capacity. 1 Gbps, 2 Gbps, 3 Gbps, right? And you can easily move wherever you want to. You don't have to, right? You don't have to come to Citrix. You can just move the traffic on-prem, on cloud, on AWS, on GCP, anywhere you want, right? You can just start moving the traffic wherever you want. And Citrix is not going to keep you locked into any part of it. The only thing that we believe is you cannot go beyond that 5 Gbps that you have bought, right? For example, if you bought 10 GB, we believe that you cannot go below 10 GB, above 10 GB. That's the hard limit that we're saying. But how you distribute 10 GB, it is entirely up to you, right? You can split into 10 instances of 1 GB, 2 instances of 5 GB, whichever is comfortable with you, right? Now, there are a lot many things around this. So we saw users, we saw devices, we saw network, and I can go on and on and on. But in the interest of time, I will walk you through a very interesting situation on the next slide. And that would pretty much cover everything that we have talked about, right? Now let's look at the user. So first thing that we see is user. Now, what are these users? These are employees, these are third parties, these are consultants, all of those users, and we are able to address all of their needs. From the user perspective, the first need that we have is authentication. And with Citrix, you are assured of dynamic authentication or step-up authentication. We also have dynamic authorizations and stuff like that. But right now, let's look at step by step. From a user perspective, we have you covered entirely. The next thing that a user needs is a device. And as I said, on the device part, you have two things. First thing is managed. Now, in managed devices, how do you know a device is a device which you have given to the employee? And we have got a very robust way of doing device compliance and device security posture check. Some of the things which we have got signed off with the largest banks and with the largest security companies is device cert mechanism, which ensures that it is non-compromisable. It is not like the MAC address, right? A B student can go and compromise it. So it is a really, really strong way of authentication, which is device cert. And that is about managed devices. But what about unmanaged devices? Now we have here two options that we presented. We presented one option whether or not to manage them, and Citrix has a complete gamut of tools which can help you manage those devices. At the same time, if you don't want to manage those unmanaged devices, then what is the way out? And we have got our contextual access authorization mechanism, which means that even on the unmanaged devices, I'm able to deliver your applications. As we saw, right, the browser is built by Citrix, and there's absolutely L7 level control that we have on those browsers, apart from all the fancy features which you don't see with any of those OEMs, right? Anti-keyloggers, anti-screen captures, watermarking, upload, download, clipboard protection, everything. So contextual access, contextual authorization, and contextual security, depending upon which user, which device, which network you're trying to do this. The next thing that comes to our mind is network. Now, we are all working over the internet, right? And is that the long strategy? Answer is absolutely yes. In some form or factor, we do we will continue to have employees working on the internet. Now, whether they are 5% of your organization or whether they're doing 100%, it entirely depends upon how your organization is structured, how your business is structured, right? Companies like us are 100% remote. But there are companies like manufacturing, which cannot go remote entirely, but definitely certain sections of those organizations can go remote. And what you need over here is, first thing is VPN-less, right? Now, whether you do virtualization, which we are the strongest way of doing it, or whether you do the VPN-less way of application delivery, where we are the best in class because we have given you the browser as well, right? No one controls that level. Obviously, our features are very unique. So VPN-less, we are right over there. I will not go into details of the internet, but what are they going to do over the internet? That's more interesting. So they are going to connect to applications, right? So they're going to connect to multiple applications. They're going to browse the regular internet. Can we have the next animation? So they are going to browse the internet. They are going to browse the SaaS-based applications directly. They're going to access your on-prem applications. They're going to access your infrastructure as a service-based applications, right? Or maybe the hyperscalers. Now, we have got a VPN-less way, which means that without exposing your internal applications, I repeat, without exposing your internal applications to the internet, we can establish layer 7 tunnels and make it extremely secure. Now, why are we talking about VPN-less? I don't want to go into debate, but very simple reason. VPN-less is for application level, which means that you don't have to worry about one application opening a tunnel and other applications exploiting it, right? So VPNs are gone by days. So VPN-less makes sure that if that application has opened the tunnel, only that application will be able to use the tunnel. So that's the level of control that we get. Now, this does not stop over here. As I said, right, some of your users are going to be in the offices, and that's where in the office space, we have all the connectivities which are on the internet possible over here. The things that we add in the office is our network optimization, which is our SD-WAN capabilities, right? Now, I'm talking about SD-WAN in only two places, which is on-premises and infrastructure as a service. We are tightly integrated with all the OEMs, the hyperscaler OEMs. So we all know benefits of SD-WAN, but I'll not go to that part of it. But the additional thing that we do is we give you network access security, which means that there is a local breakout with access security, which means that no matter where you are, no matter how you are trying to access, whether you're trying to access over the internet, then also we have access security. You saw all the things that we do. And I'll just bring up the next animation and it will have all those details about it. Yeah, there it is. You have all the dynamic authorizations, you have dynamic security, which means that based upon all of those contexts right now, this is where it gets interesting. Based upon user context, based upon device context, based upon network context, based upon what application is trying to access, internet, SaaS, or on-prem applications, or infrastructure as a service applications. Based upon all of those parameters, we are able to define what security controls and which applications are to be served, right? So how does that places us? Now, in the next slide, we will see that how Gartner is looking at this space, right? And I would not bring up the SASE term over here because it's just overwhelming, right? It's just overwhelming. The most important point is what is that you want to achieve, right? And with Citrix, you can be assured that we are able to deliver all of those aspects. One thing which is hugely missing in this Gartner space is the VDI, because if it's unmanaged devices, if you're looking at zero data footprint on the endpoint devices, right, VDI is the right way to go forward. Having said that, if you want to do ZTNA, zero trust network access, we are there. Context based upon which network you're trying to access. If you want to do firewall as a service, we are already there. If you want to do SWG, we are already there. If you want to do web app and API protection, which are not the mandatory things but recommended things, and also there with our earlier known as NetScaler and ADC portfolio. In fact, we have gone a little more innovative on that approach as well. If you are looking at managed, unmanaged devices, we are already there, right? So we are going to be there to solve all of your problems. The first thing that you have to do is, what of those things are required by you? Are you going to have so-and-so users? Are you going to have so-and-so device strategy? Are you going to have so-and-so network strategy? That is something which you have to fix, right? And we'll be more than happy to work with you and understand what things are relevant to you and what things are important to you and priority to you. And based upon that, we can define solutions. But Citrix does not stop over here. And I'll take quick 3-4 minutes. On the next slide, we would see how are we integrating this entire stack, right? You saw about so many solutions that Citrix has. We have VDI, we have device management, we have file collaboration, we have internet network security, we have VPN-less access to your on-prem applications. How are we unique? So many data points are there, and now that data points are getting clubbed, right? That data points are getting stacked, and we are creating a risk score. Now that risk score is not created by randomness, right? You define what thing is critical to you. Our machine learning, our artificial intelligence starts evaluating the user behavior to that particular part of it. And how do we do that, right? How do you define a user behavior? The good part is you don't, right? You keep the mode, you keep the systems into learning. Let's say for 30 days, the system will learn the user. And it is not a sample user. It is going to learn each and every user who comes to it, right? So for example, today, if I'm coming to you, I would be there for 30 days and the system will just learn my pattern, right? And that is where the baseline is created. That is where we are using machine learning. Now with that, on the next slide, we will see how the risk scores are calculated, and we start creating all of those inputs. You can forget the left side of it. Those are just the product names. We put the AI/ML, we put the policy, we put the user behavior, user modeling. We put the user modeling, and that's how we create a score of low, medium, and high. Now, what does that score signifies? Now that is very interesting. That is where our AI comes into picture, which means that if the particular score goes higher and higher and higher, you can automatically set the actions. If it goes into the medium zone, you may say start session recording, disable certain application access. If it goes into high zone, you may want to disable the entire access of the user, right? Now, let me give a very small example over here. What is a user behavior? Sandeep logging in every day at 8 o'clock in the morning and logging off at 8 o'clock-ish in the night. That is my regular user behavior. But what if Sandeep is trying to log in at 3 o'clock in the night? Is it going to raise an alarm for the administrators? Answer is no, because they won't even notice it. They won't even know it. They will be sitting somewhere in the logs. But Citrix will not miss it. Our AI/ML will not miss it. AI/ML will immediately know, okay, Sandeep is trying to log in, but he's not used to log in at 3 o'clock. And that's where the score starts increasing. Now, Sandeep knows what websites are allowed and not allowed. But even after doing that, he is trying to access websites which are blocked, which means that he is not the person he is, right? So the risk scores goes even higher. And that's how we keep on stacking the risk score, right? The devices is coming from, the location he's coming from, and all of those things are fed back into the system and actions taken. For example, you can stop people accessing some particular geography. You can stop people who are at a different score level, higher score levels. You can stop certain applications once the user goes beyond a particular security risk, right? So that is where it becomes more and more innovative. So with that, I think I would end my session. If there are any questions, I'll just check on the chat. Meanwhile, please keep the questions coming. And I'm more than glad, more than happy to work with you, understand what are your primary needs. Me, Umbrella team, the Citrix team, the Umbrella team is more than happy to work with you, understand what are your primary needs, which way you want to approach these solutions. And these solutions are entirely stackable, which means that you don't have to go through all of them. You can pick and choose, start something which is more important, more prioritized, and then proceed further. So With that, we do have any questions.
No questions from my side, Sandeep. Thank you.
Thank you. So are we good for the next section? Vaibhav, do we have Chetna or?
Yeah, let me introduce.
Aparna will-
Let's move on. Are you sure anybody? No, nobody has any questions. You're you're welcome to unmute and ask any questions you might have. We haven't heard from anyone yet, so I would like to thank Sandeep for this extensive session. Thanks for all your efforts, Sandeep. And I would also like to thank Vaibhav for sharing his information on Umbrella Solutions. I'd like to invite Neha and Ruchi to start the mixologist, introduce the mixologist who's going to begin the mocktail making session.
Hello, everyone. Hope I'm audible. Welcome.
Yes.
Okay. Well, welcome to a fantastic session. Can you hear me? Yeah. Welcome to a fantastic session brought to you by the Pink Owl. It's going to be an unwinding, fun evening of creating something interesting. We believe that mostly everyone has received the mocktail kits. So here's a quick run through your kit. It's got orange juice, sparkling water, orange fruit, vanilla extract, coffee liquid, coffee beans, sugar, a cocktail shaker, peg measurer, stirrer spoon, muddler, and snacks. Looking forward to a great session right now. Let me introduce the person behind the bar today, Ajinkya. Over to you, Ajinkya. Let me tell you a bit about Ajinkya. Ajinkya's personality is indeed the perfect. It's a cocktail of simplicity while being a genius in bartending. He was awarded with Mr. D.Y. Patil title for the best student in his batch. Through his career, Ajinkya has gained extensive knowledge about every beverage and every ingredient that goes into enormous mixology process and bartending. Ajinkya, hope you're ready to rock the session. Over to you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. I hope the setup is visible. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me here. Hi, very good evening. My name is Ajinkya. I'm your today's host for the evening. Let's understand today how to make mocktails and a cocktail sitting at home. First of all, I have received this wonderful equipments from Barbox. I have got this whole set of equipments. I'm sure that everybody has taken their part of it, like they have carried their equipments and their ingredients as well. I've got a club soda here. I've got a fresh cream. I've got coffee beans here. I've got vanilla extract, honey, as well as black coffee. So I'll be using all these ingredients, the common ingredients which are very usual in our day-to-day life, and I'm going to make 2 drinks out of it. So if you have any questions, definitely you can unmute yourself and you can stop me then and there, and you probably you can ask your questions. So the first drink. Now, when we speak about a cocktail, first let's understand what this cocktail is all about. Cocktail means mixing few ingredients. Cocktail never came as a cocktail. The alcohol came, it came as a medicine. Eventually, the cocktail where people wanted to, there was a pre-prohibition era. People wanted to hide their spirit from the government when there was the alcohol was abandoned. That is the era. In that era, the cocktail came into existence, where people started mixing few ingredients, and that is how they started making their drinks. So we are going to understand the basic mixology. If you want to know the key of basic mixology, you should know how to make fresh lime. If you know how to make fresh lime, you can make any drink in the world. There are only 2 flavors which are very common in all the other drinks, which is your lime and sugar, citric and the sweetener, the citrus and the sweetener. If you know how to balance these two ingredients, you can make any drink in the world. So the first drink which we are going to understand, we are going to make is sparkling blood orange. So are you all ready? I hope you all are ready. So what I need is the perfect glass. It's a tall glass which I'll be using. I'll be making a drink in this. I'll be making with a shaker. Proper equipment is also important. Again, this is one of my favorite tool, which has inbuilt strainer. So this comes in three parts. This is your lead. This has got a cap, which is like a strainer used as a strainer, and this will be used as a shaker. So you just pour all your ingredients inside this, and then you shake it. If you don't have this kind of tool at home, probably you can use a protein shaker. So this is called as a bar spoon. This I'll be using to measure few small ingredients. Let's say if I want to add 1 bar spoon or 1 tablespoon of honey, then I'll be using this bar spoon. Even this will be used to mix all the ingredients. This is called as a Hawthorne strainer. This is to fine strain or a strain the complete drink. This is to muddle all the ingredients. If you're using any fresh fruit ingredients, if you're using a sugar, raw form of sugar, probably to tap it, to muddle it, you can use this tool, which is called as a muddler. Always remember, ice is a crucial ingredient as well. Ice is the soul of your cocktail. Ice is the soul of your mocktail as well. So if you don't have enough ice in your drink, you won't be able to enjoy that particular drink. So if you have an ice, if you don't have an ice, please kindly get it. The best ice to use is the Katori ice, which you just have to pour it in pour the water inside the Katori and just freeze it. It becomes like, that would be the correct form of shape of the ice. You just have to break it and you just have to make it. The reason of using that kind of ice is you get less of dilution. So that's the whole idea of using the Katori ice. So are you all ready? You can ask any questions. If you feel, kindly feel free. If you want to stop me, if you want to know any particular ingredients, definitely you can ask me that well. Yeah, sorry. And for the perfect measure, perfect pour, you need to use a proper tool, which is called as a peck measure. This is 60 ml and this one is 30 ml. So the first thing which I'm going to use,
Can I just jump in for a second?
Yes, of course.
I would just request everyone to share their questions on chat, otherwise it will get too chaotic. So I can help with directing the questions and letting you know the answers.
That's perfect. That would be great. Thank you, Neha. So the first drink which I'm going to make is sparkling blood orange. So I've got the Malta orange for the garnishing. Always remember, prepare your garnish first. So what you need is the knife and the chopping board. Make a nice slice out of it. Just cut it into a slice. It is also called as a wheel. So I've made one nice orange slice as for the garnish. You can probably slit it and put it on the glass, or probably you can directly put it inside the drink itself. The first ingredient which I'm going to pour is an orange juice. I'll be adding 60 ml of orange juice. If you want to spike it up by the alcohol, then you will have to reduce the quantity of an orange juice, because it is used as a lengthener. So you can add 45 ml of orange juice and rest of the spirit. So probably 45 to 60 ml of spirit can be added. Most preferable spirit which can go with this beverage, that would be gin or whiskey. So the next ingredient which I'm adding is the honey, which is around about 2 bar spoons of it. So I've added 2 bar spoons of honey in my drink. Next ingredient which I'm adding is a vanilla extract, which is fresh. Again, it comes out of vanilla pods. I just have to add, you just need an essence of the vanilla, so you don't need to add a lot of it. Just add 1 bar spoon of it. That's it. Now, as I said, you just need 2 flavors to balance your palate, lime and sugar. So here, I have not added any lime juice, but then instead of lime juice, I'll be using the natural fruit ingredient, which is your citrus, which is out of the orange. And to balance it out, I've added honey in here. So stir it well. Mix it well. Post that, add lots of ice. As I said, it's the soul of a drink, soul of a cocktail. Just shake it well. So this is how you hold it. Keep your thumb on top, keep your hand down and hold it tight and just shake it well. Mix it well. It gives you a nice dilution, as well as there are so many flavors. You want to bind all the flavors and to get a nice drink out of it. Just open it. Once you open it, fill it up with a lot of ice. Pour your whole drink. At the end, to fizz it up, just add the sparkling water. Fizz it up. And add your garnish, which is an orange slice. And then you're ready to go. Cheers. That's your first drink, which is sparkling blood orange. Any questions? Neha?
No, I don't think there are any questions. I think you're doing a fab job. Nobody has.
I hope they are making along with me.
I don't see any questions in the chat box, so I'm
Yeah.
assuming everyone's clear about what they do.
I think everyone is busy making it and drinking it as well.
Come on, people, make some noise. You guys are such silent audience.
Is their favorite, it seems, because it's a coffee time right now. So they will definitely have it with the coffee.
Okay. Should we like put on our cameras and do like a short cheers before we move on to the next one?
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
I think Sandeep wins being the star of the evening. He's the only one
Oh, great.
on camera.
I am a little bit struggling.
You can ask any questions, Ajinkya.
Oh, no. I am good with the process. It's just that I'm struggling with the things, not my style. And then, yeah, I think I will try it out, but I'll focus on the next one as well.
That's great. I love your spirit, Sandeep. Great going.
Cheers.
Let's move on to our next thing. So the next drink is
Ajinkya, could you just increase your volume?
Can you hear me?
No. It was good earlier.
Can you hear me now?
No, it's low. Your volume is low.
Listen. Can you hear it? Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Can you hear it? Yeah. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
So let's move on to our next thing, which is called as the Jamaican.
I'm sorry to interrupt. There's a question here, I think. What should be the ratio of rum and juice?
From
Um,
what should be the ratio of
Rakesh is asking what should be the ratio of rum,
Rum
and juice?
Yeah.
okay. So juice what I've added is 60, but then to get a bottle.
We can't hear you, Ajinkya. I think you need to turn turn up your audio or something.
Actually able to hear, but the voice is very low.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
this is
perfect
perfect.
now.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry for the
No problem. Before we move on, we can just like answer Rakesh's question.
Yeah, Rakesh had a question. What is the ratio of
Rum and juice.
rum and juice? Yeah. So if you want to add rum in here, so probably as I said, I kept 60 ml of orange to strengthen up the drink. So whenever there's a mocktail, there's no alcohol inside. So to get a body to a drink, I've added orange juice, more of orange juice. So probably if you want to add orange juice and rum together, then you will have to decrease the other ingredients. So you can reduce the orange juice flavor, which would be 45 ml, and you can add 45 ml of equal part of rum. So 45 ml rum, 45 ml orange juice, and then rest of the ingredients, and then just top it up with the soda. I think he's drinking with rum. Nice, great. Cheers. I hope the answer was you got the answer. Let's move on to our next drink, which is the next drink is called as the polite Jamaican. Now, when we speak about Jamaican spirit is rum. So Jamaican people, technically Jamaicans cannot be polite. So they are very aggressive in their work, cricket, wherever they go, they're pretty much aggressive. But then we tried to make them polite by adding some rum and coffee together. Jamaican beverage is also, there's one coffee liqueur which is called as kalwa. So even you can use kalwa or tia maria to make this drink. So we don't have kalwa. If you don't have kalwa, so what we can do is we can add the black coffee. So here I'm adding shot, which I'll be adding around about 30 ml of it. If you are not adding any rum, so just keep it 60 ml and then mix it up with some sweetener, which is a sugar syrup, regular sugar syrup. So you have got the sugar cubes. If you have not made the sugar syrup, you can probably muddle them with the muddler, and then probably you can shake it vigorously. Then at the end, probably to get a nice and smooth texture.
Fresh tea. That's it. These are the only ingredients which will go in.
Ajinkya, your voice is again gone low. No, it's still not high.
Can you hear me now?
No,
Now, can you hear me?
it's still low. We can hear you, but it's still low.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I'm really sorry for this. So I'm just adding 30 ml of espresso shot. So espresso shot, again, it has got a lot of caffeine. Coffee has its own flavor. It itself is a nice boosting drink. It always, now there was a classic recipe which was called as espresso martini, which had vodka in it. So probably you can mix this particular drink with vodka, as well as you can add rum into it. So I'm going to add some rum into it. So I've just added 30 ml of espresso shot. Those who all are not adding rum, those who all are not adding alcohol, they just keep it 60. So you just have to add 60 ml of black coffee or espresso. Espresso would be 45, black coffee would be 60. So I've added 60 ml of coffee, 30 ml of coffee and 60 ml of rum. I'm adding to sweeten it up, to give it a nice sweet flavor. I'm just adding 20 ml of sugar syrup. If you don't have sugar syrup, you just muddle those sugar cubes and use it. At the end, I'm adding 30 ml of fresh cream. To bind all the flavors, to give it a nice and smooth texture to a drink. Add lots of ice again. Fill it up with shaker, like the complete shaker filled with ice. Put your cap on top and then shake it well. At least make sure that you shake it for 8 seconds. It gives you a nice body as well as it helps to bind all the flavors. And then pour it inside your cocktail glass or a martini glass. Most preferred glass would be martini. If you don't have a martini at home, probably you can serve it in an old fashioned over the ice as well. That is also fine. So pour. So if you can see, this is nice and creamy drink to have it on Sundays, Sunday brunch, probably in the evening time. And the garnish would be the coffee beans. So just float 1 or 2 coffee beans on top. And it has got a nice presentation as well. So cheers. I'm sure you guys will love it. Those who all are making this drink, they will definitely love this drink. Any questions?
Any questions, guys? We had, what's the name of this drink? Rakesh is the only curious.
This is polite Jamaican. This is polite Jamaican. Jamaican is because we have added Jamaican rum into it. So you can probably mix it with the dark rum as well. Even dark rum can go pretty well with this.
Hey, Zinkia, so
Hi.
white, hi. So any rum is, we can use any rum, or it is better to use white rum?
No, you can, there are, as I said, there is a classic drink which is called as espresso martini. So coffee and vodka goes pretty well. So there's one more classic drink which is called as Black Russian. It's just vodka and Kahlua. So this drink can definitely go with vodka as well as rum. So rum, there are 2 types of rum. One is dark rum, one is white rum. Even dark rum can go well. But then once you add dark rum into this, make sure you reduce the sugar quantity because dark rum itself is little sweet on palate, because it is made up of sugarcane molasses. So dark rum, white rum, and vodka, anything is fine. What are you adding? You like dark rum, don't you? Any questions? Yes, there are few questions coming in. Neha?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there are no questions. White rum, he said white rum definitely. Jake, said.
There's one more drink which is called as Cuba Libre. You can have lots of ice. It's a basic simple drink which has rum and coke. You can add lots of ice, rum and coke. That's it, and dash of lime. So you can have that one classic drink as well with white rum. Even mojito. Mojito is one of that. Any other questions?
Curious to see at least a few drinks. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
we don't know what the backbenchers are doing.
They are drinking for sure.
So I have got something which is okay, I think so.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
Nice, nice, nice.
Have you been able to spike it?
This is the no. I don't have it to spike it. So this is the first one which I could finally make it, right? The second one I'll try it at some time. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
sure. And we'll be sending everyone the recipes. I mean, the cards already have the recipes. Actually.
Already have the recipes. Yes.
Yeah.
These
So
are the two
in case there
cards
is
that.
any query, you can reach out. Feel free to reach out.
Yes. I hope you all love this 2 drinks, this mocktail session. And a cocktail session, definitely I'm looking forward. On Saturdays, everybody will be making few drinks, calling their friends over and probably partying.
I think I love this. This is really nice to eat.
Refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Perfect sliding into the weekend.
Sundowner drink. Yeah, absolutely.
Super. Yeah, Rakesh is asking us for recipe. Rakesh, if you see the cards that have come in your box, you'll have the recipes on that.
So it's just 3 ingredients: coffee, sugar syrup, and cream. And if you want to add white rum, then just add white rum. That's it. So when you add white rum, just keep your espresso shot a little less. That would be 30 ml. So that is what I've done. I've added 30 ml of 1 shot of espresso, then 1 shot of white rum, and then the rest of the ingredients. So sugar syrup would be 20 ml and cream, 30 ml of fresh cream to bind all the flavors.
Super. Thanks, Ajinkya. I think that was a
Thank you so
rocking
much.
session.
Thank you.
I hope everyone has enjoyed, though we can't see any cameras and drinks. I think Sandeep and Rakesh should definitely be the stars of the evening for being so participative. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I think
Cheers to you
over
guys.
to you, Aparna. I just hope everyone has a good time.
Thanks, Ajinkya, for sharing
you,
those
Aparna. Thank
exciting,
you.
lovely cocktails. They look
Were you
really
making
good.
them, Ono? Were you making them?
No, I don't really have a kit right now, so I could make them. But yeah, looks exciting. I can always get in touch with you for the recipe when I want
Sure.
to, right?
Absolutely.
We had a really good time watching you make it also.
Thank you.
Obviously, the bartending makes a lot of difference. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for being with us and hope you had a great session. So thanks to Sandeep, and we all hope, if you need any information from Sandeep or Vaibhav, please feel free to reach out to us, and we hope we gave you a great session today. Thank you and have a great evening. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.